So in this video, you're going to learn from our top agent. His name is Phil. He sold over 40 policies last month in 30 days. He's going to share with you exactly how he did it, what he learned, but he's also going to share with you personal stories of what it was like when he wasn't with our organization, and ultimately how he lost thousands of dollars, how he was going into debt, and even living in his parents' basement, and what he learned and how he learned how to sell life insurance and get with a company that supported him, that allowed him to basically break free and now ultimately buy a house on his own. And most importantly, he's going to be sharing with you everything that he learned as a life insurance agent to help you win. Sales tips, lifestyle tips, and ways that he's implemented in his life to make him a successful life insurance agent. So if you want to learn how to actually make money as a life insurance agent, this video is going to help you. And here is his interview. Phil, thanks for joining us here. You did 42 policies in the month of March. Want to learn more about kind of like, where you were in the past and ultimately kind of where you're at now. And we're going to dive more into your story. We have some questions for you, but thanks for jumping on here. Kind of walk us through where you were before you got started with the life insurance industry and kind of how you ended up here with us today.
Absolutely. And man, it's a pretty surreal experience to be doing this, Peter, because gosh, I first came across your videos like almost a year and a half ago now. And this is something that I've been like visualizing, having this conversation with you for a long time. So it's cool to finally be doing it.
Heck yeah. You earned it, man. Well, walk us through where you were at like a year and a half ago and fill us in.
Yeah. So I was an actor in New York City for about 5 years. And by that, I mean, I worked in a lot of restaurants and bars in New York City for 5 years and did a little acting as well, which was great. But I decided not to pursue that as a career anymore, kind of right before the pandemic hit. And then I had been looking for something. I wanted a job where I could work from home, have the opportunity to earn 6 figures, and be able to support my family. And I had been thinking, searching, praying for a career path that I feel like I would be able to use the skills that I have, the limited set of skills I have, which is like talking to people and reading a script is pretty much the only skills that I have. And so, yeah, backtrack like a year and a half ago, I was living in my parents' basement with my wife, Sarah, and our son, Daniel, just going through a hard financial situation. I was working in a warehouse at the time, just not doing what I wanted to be doing and just feeling really stuck, and had still been praying for a path to show itself to me. And then I came across your YouTube channel somehow by the grace of God. And you talked about how you were working from home and earning 6 figures by calling people and reading a script. And I was like, well, would you look at that? I was like, well, I know how to call people. I know how to read a script. I might just be crazy enough to think that I can do this. And a lot of people thought I was crazy for trying to do that. And jumped into it, got licensed, started at another agency, and started to feel like I was crazy for doing it.
Yeah. What did your, like, I guess when you brought that idea, like, how did your wife respond when you're like, hey, did you know that you were gonna have to start a business at first, or was it like, what was your, I guess, idea at first of the industry?
So I really did as much research as I possibly could for months before getting into it. My wife, to her great credit, was incredibly supportive, but a lot of other people were just like, "What? You're gonna do what? You're gonna cold call people and sell them life insurance? What do you know about that? How are you gonna make money doing that? You're gonna, try to support your family doing that?" I mean, it sounded crazy. But then I got licensed. I started at another agency. And I have nothing bad to say about the place that I was at. I don't think just as an agency there was anything wrong with them, but it was just the nature of the business of buying the leads, getting the chargebacks, and my financial situation went from bad to worse pretty quickly.
Okay, so it went from bad to worse. And then in regards to like your first few weeks and your few months, like what did you do? Like, I guess, were you able to make some sales? Like, how was your first 2 weeks? What were you really struggling with as a new agent? Like at first, like when you were just trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah, first week, I didn't make a sale. think maybe I made like one or two the next week. And I was just told, just keep buying leads, keep buying leads. But the leads that I was told to buy were anywhere from 13 to $20 a pop. And so if you're buying 50, 100 leads a week, I mean, it adds up real quick. And then you'd make a few sales, get some chargebacks. So yeah, I was in a real bad spot. And actually, let's keep it real here, man, because there's a lot of BS when it comes to this industry online. I actually just did my taxes, so I could tell you exactly how it. So, in initial costs, startup costs for the business, buying leads, licensing, office supplies, advertising, I probably spent close to 10 grand.
Wow.
And after chargebacks, what I earned was probably about 2 grand.
Yeah. So, and you were doing that for how many months? 3-4 months, or?
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it's probably like stressful. I was there at first with you, man. It's like, it feels so great at first, and then when it actually hits you, you're probably panicking and you're like, gotta buy new leads. And what do you think you've learned in those 3 to 4 months that helped you, like, I guess, learn the skill of sales? Because I mean, you went from the first 2 months probably not doing too well to actually kind of figuring it out. What was helpful for you in that process?
Well, I mean, I I don't know if I had really figured it out until I came here, to Legacy. So, I had decided, because I was just bleeding money at that point, to just walk away from it. I reached out to you and sort of told you my story, and you offered me an opportunity, and I told Sarah, I was like, listen, I'm gonna give this one more shot with Peter. If it doesn't work out, then this industry just isn't for me, and it was just a very expensive mistake. But I'm gonna give it one more shot, and came on with you, and I mean, just learned everything that I needed, and you and Micah gave me all the tools to be successful, and it's been working out, and now I am on track to make 6 figures this year, and being able to support my family, and actually in 3 days we're moving into our first house together.
That's awesome.
It's
I got chills, man. That's such a blessing. And what do you think, like, because when I remember interviewing you, and this is like, there's something I saw in you, it's like, man, I'm gonna just figure this thing out. Like, maybe your back was against the wall, but like, what did you have, what type of belief did you have in yourself, knowing what like, you already got screwed over once, but you knew that you were gonna figure it out if it's actually true. Like, how did you become a person who was like, I'm gonna just figure this thing out? Like, do you know what skill sets kind of helped you, especially because there's a lot of people who could figure it out but are in the wrong opportunity. Like, how did you just figure it out in a system like that we give you?
it is what you said, having my back against the wall. I mean, I have a family to support. My wife is pregnant with our second child now, so it's really just finding a way to win. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And if this industry didn't work out, I would go get 2-3 jobs in order to make it work, in order to provide. But yeah, it's I'm certainly not naturally gifted or talented. I mean, especially if it comes to sales or anything. Anybody that knew me 10 years ago would think that. So any skills that I have are learned, and if I can learn them, then anybody can.
That's what I have. I wanted to jump into you being an actor. You've led some trainings with us. How did you learn sales? Like, what is an example of something that you didn't have before? Maybe it's like, I didn't know how to create emphasis in my tone, that you were able to learn over time that has helped you tremendously in your sales process. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, so I was trained as classically trained as an actor for years, when I was in New York, and developed a lot of tools, and was able to carry them over into this. And so sort of going about it a different way, and maybe having a different language than the language of sales when it comes to acting. But I knew, and that's what first attracted me to this industry, was I felt like the skills that I have developed as an actor would be able to translate. And so there are just like a few things that has helped me. one thing that I talk about is something I learned as an actor that I was able to transfer to here, is using an as if. So this is if as an actor you are unable to personally relate to a circumstance that your character is going through, how can you make that personal to you? So if you're playing Hamlet, how could you possibly know what it feels like to have your father murdered by your uncle, right? It's just an example. So how do you find a way into that and make that real and personal to you? So with what we're doing here with sales, we're calling somebody up out of the blue that is not expecting our phone call, and how do you keep them on the phone? How do you put your best foot forward? Maybe when you're talking to these people. So if I think to myself, I'm calling this person and trying to sell them something, that's not going to come across right. But if I'm calling this person and it's as if I'm calling up an old friend that I haven't spoken to in a year, and I want to check in on them, or it's as if I'm meeting my girlfriend's grandparents for the first time. How are you going to present yourself? Like, what's your tonality going to be like? So there's like little things like that I have been able to transfer over that I think has been
It's
really
good. As if in regards to looking back at when you first were struggling, what was something that you think that you like was like a skill or something in your script that really hurt you looking back now that you would have done completely different? Maybe if the script, but like some people were like just don't know how to sell because they have like the wrong, they're doing the medical portion the wrong way or they're doing the discovery the wrong way. What do you think was your biggest crutch if you had to listen to your sales calls in the beginning?
Oh boy. Well, one thing that that sort of took me a little while to get that we trained on for a while is just the concept of mirroring and how important that is. And so if when I was first starting, somebody could tell me something, oh, my husband died last year, and now I don't want to have to burden my children or something, and I would be like, oh, okay, gotcha. And so and just like blow right past that. Whereas, oh my god, wait, your husband died? Oh my god, your husband died last year? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And wow, okay. And so now it's, as a mother, you just don't want to have to put that financial burden onto your children, is that right? And so this like mirroring back to them sort of, and it does feel awkward at first to sort of just be repeating back to somebody what they just told you, and I felt kind of awkward about that at first, so I shied away from it. But when you do that, man, it makes people feel heard. It makes them feel like you understand them, that you're in their corner, and you just get these positive affirmations from them. Yes, that's exactly right. Exactly. Yes, that's it. That, yes, you understand me. Thank you. Yeah. And it's like that makes such a huge difference. So again, it's all just skills and techniques. And I've learned so much from you and Micah. So, and you guys have the systems in place. So, I mean, I just do what you guys tell me, and it's worked.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like for the longest time, I was like, man, how can I do this every single day? But when you have the systems in place, do you have like full confidence? Like, man, it says every day that, like, I think literally every day you've made sales. I mean, you've made at least 10 sales every single week for last month, and it looks like you're going to be doing the same here. I think the one thing that you do very well that I wanted to share, I think could help a lot of people, is you're very great at people, especially selling men who are straight to the point. What advice would you give to maybe a female, because I see that quite commonly, a female who's typically more skittish when that happens, or some guy who just doesn't know what he's talking about, speaking to a very straight to the point, direct guy. How do you go about that sales call?
Yeah, so I'm from New York, so direct, straight to the point. That's that's my specialty. No, but it's all about, excuse me, it's all about maintaining control of the conversation. So especially with some of the women that maybe do feel a little uneasy if they're talking to a guy that's just direct and straight to the point, and hey, just give me the quote, I just want the numbers or whatever, is just maintaining control of the conversation. So you are the expert. And I tell people that there's, you're not going to come across somebody who knows more about life insurance than you do at this point. Like, this is what we do all day, every day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, sometimes. Like, you are the expert, and you have to carry yourself and handle yourself like you are the expert. You're in control. And we're here genuinely trying to help people. And one thing that's so freeing about having an abundance of good leads is that, if somebody's like cussing you out, or somebody's giving you an attitude, or they don't want your help, like, we don't help them. Like, we help people that want our help, and we're here to honestly and ethically serve people to the best of our ability. And if somebody is just like being rude, or being mean or aggressive or something, like, we don't even want those people as clients, you know so that's what I just say. It's like, stay in control. You're the captain of the ship here, and you are the expert, and you're here to genuinely help them. And if they want your help, then you're gonna serve them the best way that you can.
Yeah, it is crazy, that scarcity of like not being needy and not like, hey, I'm just here to help you mentality. I think pulling it away, it's super important. As you were kind of going through that, I was thinking of you just getting started in the industry. Let's say your son grew up and he's like, hey, Dad, I want to go into selling life insurance. Knowing what you know now, how would you help him be successful? Like, he's like, hey, I see what you do. I want to do this. How would you guide him in his first year of business? What would you I guess share with him?
One advantage I would say that I've had, coming into this industry, even though I didn't have a background in sales, but honestly, working in so many bars and restaurants, and living in New York City, and having all of those experiences acting, is that you learn to deal with so many different types of people. So I think I do have a certain confidence on the phone, and I think that comes from the fact of knowing that no matter who picks up this phone right now, it's someone that I've dealt with before. It's a type of person, and I feel like I'm able to read people very quickly, and adjust accordingly. So whether it is sweet little Miss Betty that answers the phone, or it's Mr. Roger who's not having a good day or whatever, like, I still just feel like, that I'm able to connect with people pretty quickly, and I can adjust my tonality or tactic accordingly. So I would say, anybody that's trying to looking to maybe get into this business, or just to get into sales in general, is just talk to as many people as you can. Just get comfortable talking to as many different types of people as you can, and that you can do that working in Starbucks even. I mean, it's you don't necessarily have to have a business degree or come from a background in sales. Just get good at talking to people, reading people, and most importantly, listening to people, because that's ultimately what is most effective, is like we were talking about with mirroring. When you are able to really hear somebody, I mean, there's nothing worse than you ask somebody a question on the phone, and they say, yeah, I just told you that, or I told you that already. That's like,
Credibility's gone.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just get good at that, dealing with people, communicating with people.
Be personable. Yeah, have the ability, and that's something that's a skill too, because you might suck at first, but if you're speaking to 100 people every single day, they can learn that. But if you don't have that touch personability, that's what you're saying. It's like, here's gonna be really um, a struggle for you. One thing that you do well too is your sales calls were like start to finish close in 40 minutes. And when you were saying that, it came down to the point, it was like, hey, you just sit back and you just ask some questions, and they just give you the answers. The person who speaks the least typically has the most leverage. So kind of anything, I guess, what parts of your script are you able to, like, some sales calls are 2 hours with some people, yours is 45 minutes. How are you able to have that efficiency in your sales calls that could help, someone who's maybe struggling with
This is
long-winded sales calls and scripts?
this is something that I hammer home to the team a lot, is stick to the script. Like, you and Micah have developed the script. I mean, we have all of these systems in place. We've got the CRM, we've got technology, we've got AI, we have a customer care team, we have live transfers. Like, we have so many tools, but ultimately the thing, and especially as an actor, that I appreciate the most is just the script that you and Micah have created, which is still being created. It's never done. It's constantly being reworked to make it as effective as possible. And I feel like if all I had was a cell phone and that script, I feel like I could make it.
Heck yeah.
And I stick to the script. If I'm on the script, if I'm going down the script and I'm asking the questions that are in there, and they're answering those questions, I'm in control. As soon as I get off script, as soon as they start pulling me out into the weeds and telling me about their nephew's dog and this and that, it's like I'm not in control anymore, and I have to like get them right back to the script. And if you go through the script and if you ask the questions and they answer the questions and you get into an app and you're efficient with that, which just comes from practice, it's 40 minutes start to finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, any that's why I say, just if you're on script, you're in control. If you're off script, they're in control.
Yeah, and you lose them. Do you think I mean, I'm the same way. It's pretty quick. What do you think the most common mistake, even if you might be listening to some of the new guys that are with us, or if you're consuming, what do you think is like the biggest mistake that people use that really shoot them in the foot, especially when they're first getting started? It could be like maybe their work ethic, or they're just script adherence, or they don't have a good leader. What do you think is the one thing that could hurt someone who's new to sales?
I mean, talking about efficiency, like, you say it all the time, time kills deals. And if you're going through like the medical, you're asking them the medical questions, and you ask them a question and then you're typing it into the system, and there's this big like lag time in between, and you constantly sound like you're thinking, or you're not sure what's coming next. You've lost credibility. They're not going to have confidence in you. You don't sound confident. They're not going to have confidence in you. So it is speed and efficiency is super important, especially during medical. Once you're in discovery, then it's all about empathy, and trying to finding the pain, finding the problem. And ultimately, what we have to make these people understand is that they have a problem. These people literally cannot afford to die. They cannot afford their burial expenses. And when they die, their family is going to be in a real bad spot. They're not going to have a way to bury them. They're going to have to do a GoFundMe. They're going to have to go around begging people for money just to bury their loved one. And a lot of these people they can't really like grasp that. It's like it's too heavy for them, and so we have to make them understand that they have a problem, but luckily we're here to solve the problem. And if we serve them to the best of our ability, we can and we will solve their problem. But it's about having that empathy during discovery, and finding that pain, finding the problem, and solving it for them.
Yeah, even though they might not even give you the problem at first, they'll smoke screen it, but it's getting down to that root, I think, which is what you do really, really well. I wanted to ask you this. I think a thing that we focus on here heavily is underwriting. In your previous experience, did you have confidence in the products that you were selling, and was the underwriting pretty focused? Because, I mean, you've placed policies, you have seen people try to steal clients from you because of fraudulent underwriting. Like, how has that shifted, like, from before to now? Because I think that's something that we need to, the channel needs to share with people. Like, don't screw people over, please. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, God, there's so many. I've heard so many stories. There's so many unethical agencies and agents out there. I was never encouraged to do anything unethical or to write a bad policy for people. But my gosh, yeah, I mean, we see it. We see it every single day where an agent will lie in order to make a sale, put somebody in a bad spot, and it's God. I mean, again, we're talking about people that can't afford to die, and then if somebody writes them a fraudulent policy and they're paying into it every month, and they think now that their problem is solved, and then they die, and then the insurance company runs a medical check on them and finds out that the policy was fraudulent and doesn't pay out. I mean, it honestly, it breaks my heart.
It's a shame. The last thing I want to share with you is you see probably ads on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram for people that anybody can be a life insurance. What is your thought on that statement? Do you believe it's true that anybody can be a life insurance agent in 2024, or would they have to have a certain set of skills that would help them become successful?
So again, I do think that you have to have a set of skills, but I think that they're learnable skills because I learned them, and I'm telling you, I'm not natural. I mean, there's guys that we work with that are significantly younger than me, and I would say that they are more naturally talented than I am, because when I was their age, I would never have been as as they are, honestly. So it's taken me years to develop these skills. So yes, I think anybody, can get into this industry and see some success, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. For most agencies, it's going to take a lot of money investment, but it's you need the skills, and you can learn them, but it takes a while to learn them. It's not something that you could just go get licensed and you're bringing in 10 grand a month by sitting on the beach and making phone calls. Like that is not real.
That's what they pay. I remember I made my first sale. I ran into my brother's room. I just made $6,000 today, and then they both charged back, and I was like, it was like insane. But I guess for you, Phil, anything that you'd want to share to anybody who's listening, because there was a Phil that was just watching on the other line. What is it, about a year ago? So anything that you would want to share with anybody who could be watching that could be helpful for them, or any encouragement, just want to open the floor up for you.
Man, it might sound corny or whatever, but honestly, man, it's like being here and having this conversation now, like the journey that it's taken to get here, it's honestly, it really is surreal for me. But man, I would say, dreams really do come true, because this really was my dream to be able to do. I didn't know that it was, but once I discovered it, I realized, like, wow, that is my dream, and I'm living the dream now. And I was, like I said, I had been praying about it for about 3 years, like from the time that, like, before the pandemic, before I saw your first video, it was literally like 3 years of like praying and like searching for an answer, and just feeling like, my prayers were not being answered until they were.
Wow.
And then you have to know what you want, and you have to work hard. But once a door opens, once an opportunity presents itself, you have to walk through the door. You have to take the opportunity, and you have to dive in, and you have to work really hard. And maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But it didn't work out for me at first either. So it was a 3-year journey just to get into this industry. And then once I got in the industry, I got smacked around a bit and lost a whole bunch of money. But now I'm here, and now it's working out the way that I dreamed that it would. So I just feel incredibly blessed, and I don't know, people can take from that what.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Phil. Yeah, I mean, it's just important that you kept pushing on. There was probably some really dark times there in the 3 years, but you kept pushing on, and you had to find a way. And I think when you have that grit that you've learned, ultimately, this is not me or Micah. We didn't do it. Like, you had to do this. Like, you're the one that created it, so you should be proud of yourself of all the hard work of showing up when you don't want to, and figure out, man, how the hell are we gonna figure this out? Like, you're probably still in the basement. Like, what are we gonna do here? Like, we have kids. Like, it was probably a really tough time, and I honor that about you, that you continue to search through and figure out this is just the beginning for you, man. I hope that every month and every year just gets better and better for you. And it's great to learn more about your story here. So I'm sure you're gonna be able to help someone. But just thanks for the encouragement for all those people out there, and it's so cool to kind of see everything come into fruition. So.
For sure, man. And thank you. Thank Micah. I mean, honestly, I give everything to you guys. Like, I would not be where I am if it wasn't for you guys. I don't know how you young guys just came in and like figured this industry out. You guys are like 10 years younger than me. It makes me sick. but